go ahead and get started tonight and jump into this conversation. Self defense is not a crime. When protecting yourself becomes a personal vendetta with the law enforcement, the ones that are supposed to serve and protect you. But tonight we have an amazing co-host. Let me see if my co-hosts are in the building tonight. These are two amazing individuals that you can check out over on the Crew Podcast. They have their own show. They are Dwayne and Sissy, and the name of the show is Extra Scoop. Is nothing small about what they're serving up. So, are my special hosts on tonight, Dwayne and Sissy? Are y'all there? All right, all right. I'm doing fine. I can't complain. I won't complain. So, if y'all would briefly, before we bring our special guest on, I want you guys to introduce yourself. We're going to start with Dr. Sissy. If you would please introduce yourself. For those that may have not had the opportunity to chime in and meet you because you've been here, you've graced this platform before, and you've been over on the cruise. So for those that may not know you, please give them an opportunity to find out a little about you. Dr. Sissy.
Well, thank you for having me. Hello, viewers, listeners. I am Sissy. I do have done podcasts, and I love advocating. Once you get that bug in you, you can't knock it. To seek justice, and sometimes it's just how we set up to have that happen, and it's for right people. You can catch me on TikTok at Sissy SISSY 11251, and that's on TikTok. I do have a platform over there. Unmuted. And Dwayne and I are going to be doing podcasts this Wednesday, and so come listen to us.
All right, all right. And Brother Dwayne, if you would please share a little bit about yourself.
Good evening again, everyone. I'm Dwayne, and I'm an advocate locally in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. And I also, you can find me on TikTok as well at Dwayne Turnstill. And I just advocate for the people. Where there is injustice, where there is a need, I try to be there and try to lend my time, my effort to help out those that are in need. And that's what we do. And as Sissy said, you can catch us on next week on Wednesday. We have our first broadcast, and come check us out.
Well, thank you for joining me tonight. I know you guys have been very involved in TikTok and case talk, and bringing some light to some cases concerning some of our youth. And I am grateful to have met you guys and have had the opportunity to really get to know you guys and work with you guys on some of these cases, bringing some light to some of the things that are happening within our judicial system, not just in Texas, but bringing light around the world, because some of these cases have really affected people that are not from Texas. Because Sissy's not from Texas. I am not from Texas. I am all the way on the East Coast. And when I see different things happening, I can't sit still and be quiet. And again, I have to really give Dr. Chinchilla a shout out, because when she came on this platform and started every Sunday talking about social injustice and wrongfully and overly incarcerated individuals, and every week she would come on with a different case, and that thing just poked at my heart. And then I was given the opportunity to work with some individuals down in Texas. So I can tell you, Texas definitely have a piece of my heart. So this case that we're going to be talking about tonight has definitely pricked my heart, because those that know me know that kids the youth and elderlies are my heart. They have a special place in my heart. And this case, I don't know Mr. Christopher, but Christopher has a special place in my heart, along with Carmelo, along with Tristan, along with some more individuals, because there's another case out in another place that we've been talking with one of the hosts on the crew podcast. She brought another case up. So there's a lot that is really happening in Texas and around the world concerning our youth. But I want to move on out the way so we can jump in this conversation, because this story it runs deep, and some things have transpired that we really need to talk about, and we really need to bring light to it so that people can really see what is still happening in America, and that if it's happening, know that it could possibly happen to you if put in a situation. So I'm going to bring up my guest, Mr. Mark Niehaus. And y'all, if I said his name wrong, please charge it to my mind and not my heart, because definitely this family is special to us. So, Mr. Mark, are you there? Yes, I can. I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. How you doing tonight? I can't complain. I won't complain. I know it could be better. Um, but yet we press. If you would, I have two special co-hosts on with me tonight. We're going to be diving into your son's story. I know that no one can tell it like him, like he can, but you're the best, second best thing to him that can definitely tell that story. So I'm going to move out the way, and I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, and then I'm going to allow you to jump in and start talking about that story, sharing that story to those that may not know about this story. We want them to find out tonight. So if you would introduce yourself and dive on in.
So my name is Mark Manhurst. I'm the father of Christopher Manhurst, who on July 16th, him and a couple of his friends, three of his friends went to the community park about 5 minutes away from our house. They just went up there just to hang out, have a good time, just enjoy a day. Um, when they arrived at the park, shortly after arriving there, a group of kids approached them. They had an issue with one of Christopher's friends. Uh, just normal teenage stuff, and they asked, could they come to the other side of the park to just kind of hash the issue out and figure out what's going on. So they went up there. Mind you, this still had nothing to do with Chris, and Chris and his friends didn't really know these kids. They just knew them in passing. Once more, it was initially about his friend. So when they went up there, and him and his friend and another individual ended up engaging in a fight, where his friend kind of got the best of the guy. Um, at that point, they got in their car, they got in the vehicle, and they were trying to leave. And this group of kids kind of surrounded the car, were kind of punching them, trying to punch them through the windows, and just kind of get at them. And as they drove off, they were able to drive off. As they drove off, they were kind of hitting their car, throwing stuff at their car. So a little ways down the road, and it's still in the parking lot, but just a little ways down, it's a fairly large parking lot. So they stopped on the other side. The driver of the car wanted to make sure that his car wasn't damaged, and that was wrong with it. So they got out, and this group of kids followed them on foot. At that point, there was a female, and this is where the video starts. At that point, there was a female who recognized my son from an incident at his school, where her friend or somebody she knows had actually choked my son with a computer cord around his neck. But she recognized him from that, and because her friend didn't like him, I guess she didn't like him. I don't know what the issue was, but in the video, it's where the video starts, and you can see her being held back by her friends. Her friends are telling her to stop. Christopher is continually just ignoring her, walking around, walking away. She did spit on him, calling him a bunch of racial slurs. And in the video, you can continue to see her friend trying to pull her back, telling her to stop, telling her don't. And then at that point, she's able to basically get out of her friend's grasp and kind of get away from her friend, get loose. And at that point, she kind of aggressively approaches Chris as if to, put hands on him or do something to him. And at that point, he did just lightly just smacked her across the face. Remind you, like I said, she'd already spit on him and all that. And then when he did that, her boyfriend and about 10 to 12 somewhere individuals, they just rushed Chris, mob attack. In which at that point, Christopher, who did have a knife on him, did defend himself, and he did stab one of the individuals. The individual who he did stab is the father, is the son of an Ellis County Sheriff's deputy. So the individual had ties to law enforcement, which adds an extra layer to all this, and, with how things are being conducted. So after that, originally my wife and I, we thought that it was Christopher who had been stabbed because my daughter came down and stayed and told us that Christopher had been stabbed. So we rushed out of the house, got to the park, seen all the police and sheriffs and all that. And when we arrived, initially we were told that I think it was a sheriff, one of the sheriff's deputies. He said one of our deputies' sons got stabbed. And then they ended up telling us that it was our son who did the stabbing. So we were kind of, obviously kind of confused to what's going on. They were kind of giving us a hard time, wouldn't let us leave, told us that nobody smokes, no one smokes in their car. So I don't know why they just, they're just basically giving us a hard time, wouldn't let us leave. Mind you, we did nothing wrong. We're trying to find our son, find out what's going on. Plus, we have other kids at the house, younger siblings, so we needed to get back and get them. So at that point, they did let us leave, and I was able to find my son. And I was like, all right, well, eventually, I picked him up from a friend's house, and I was like, I picked him up from his friend's house, and I was like, I'll call a lawyer in the morning, and we'll, turn him in. So we got back to the house the next, probably about 5 a.m. in the morning. They did serve a search warrant. They had the whole block shut down, had we got 6 kids. The youngest was 11. They had us all walking out the house with guns pointed at us, laser beams. And my youngest daughter had us outside and tore up the house. And then at that point, also after this incident initially happened, we did begin to receive death threats. People were posting our address online, telling us to be ashamed of something happening, telling us there's a group chat with 51 people that want to kill our family, all kinds of stuff. They even called me and told me that they were going to do something to my son if they see him. And so we did deal with all that. That day, on the morning of the 17th, where Christopher was taken into custody, they set his bond at $355,000, which we were able to get him out with 10% of that bond that day, specifically because with the individual's father having ties to law enforcement, we were in fear, of him having to go to the county jail because of that, specifically because of that. So fast forward, after that, everything, he gets bonded out. He has conditions of his bond, pre-trial supervision, where he has to report monthly, and he's a caseworker, and do a year analysis. So fast forward to December 3rd. That's his first scheduled court appearance. He's been in compliance, been going to all his appointments, all that. In fact, the day of the December 3rd hearing, he actually had to go report to his caseworker immediately after that, and that was scheduled. So he goes to court December 3rd. Turns out the prosecutor's not there, so it gets rescheduled to the 23rd of January. And mind you, I said after that December 3rd court appearance, he had to go report to his caseworker and do the analysis with his caseworker. So my wife and I both took him there. The caseworker wasn't there, but that's what we think is how it went down. The caseworker wasn't there, so he took the analysis, and I guess it was from a guy that he had never met before. But the guy gave me an analysis and then he left. So, like I said, fast forward to January 23rd. So we arrived at the courthouse. So this is, like I said, this is his first time actually speaking to a judge. Um, you get approached, get sworn in, and immediately the judge starts in with your bond is being revoked, so you're going to be detained. And we're like, what is happening? We're confused. Their reason for detaining him is because they say on December 3rd, or wait, no, they said, we don't have a record of you reporting at all December. And initially was, we don't have record of you at all recording in December. Christopher was able to provide proof that he did show up on that December 3rd date. So then they switched it up and said, oh, we do have record of you showing up, but we don't have record of you speaking with your caseworker, Mr. Jones. And if you remember, like I said, Mr. Jones, instead of Jones, he wasn't there that day. So they ended up detaining Chris. As our lawyer is trying to fight for, say that he was there to report whatnot. Then they came back and magically added, oh, well, he didn't report in September either. But they were only alleging December.
So can I ask a question? So what was Christopher's specific charges when he was arrested?
So his specific charges, he was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 1 count of assault causing bodily injury.
And wow, I just don't see that. Okay, so was there any type of videos or anything from that park or that area that could have been viewed? What was the eyewitnesses account of what happened? Because it seemed like, if from what I seen in the video, it seemed like if a mob of people approach, jump, and attack you, that hinder you from being able to exit where you are, how can they not say that you were defending yourself? I truly don't understand that. And I want Dwayne and Sissy to chime in because they know penal codes. Um, I don't know penal codes, but when I look at stuff, it's like I can see right from wrong, and what seems like is fair and what seems right. Um, so if they can chime in and they really know about Texas, because Texas is kind of different from a lot of the other states. They actually have a a self defense claim, as well as I think the stand your ground, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm gonna let Dwayne and Sissy chime in, and we just want to really dive deep into this case so that people can really see what is going on. So anything that you can think of that has transpired, that seems like it's out of the way or should not be happening, Mark, I want you to bring it to our attention so that people can see it, and we can see what our next steps need to be in trying to address some of these issues. Dwayne and Sissy, if y'all would chime in on those charges, and I know we've been talking about this on TikTok, so if y'all can kind of share some of y'all perspective and some of y'all insight so far.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead. Oh, okay. I know that I actually put in a public information request into the city for the cameras because I know that they have cameras there at that park. And they actually responded to me that there was no information responsive to that. So that meant that they had no cameras or no video footage of those cameras to give to me. And so I appealed it, of course, and they sent it up to the Attorney General's office, the Ken Paxton's office in the state of Texas. Um, the state of Texas is a stand ground state. You have no duty to retreat. It's a mutual combat state as well. So that means that two parties agree to fight, and they really won't say nothing and won't do anything about it. In this case, I remember from the video, the entire time Christopher was in retreat. He was backing up, getting out the way, and they were the aggressors the entire time. And so, just just knowing from that alone, he did what he didn't have to do in the state of Texas, and that's retreat. He gave them every opportunity, even when he did, at the point that he pulled the actual knife. And in the state of Texas, any knife with a blade under 5.5 inches is legal to have. I mean, your toddler can have one in their pants if they wanted to. And when he brandished it, that was his warning to them to leave me alone while he was backtracking. And they still were coming to assault him and aggress upon him. So on that day, he shouldn't have been the one that got arrested. It should have been the mob of people that got arrested. In the city, there has been a history of uh, people that are minorities, people that are black, people that are not like the people that they want to be there, being accosted, their houses being spray painted and set afire and threatened. And this has just been a couple of decade long situation that happened. And it's because a lot of minorities have started moving that way and finding good places to live. And I think some of the people who were there don't want them there. And so they act these ways. And it's just not really down in that area. It's becoming the state of Texas as a whole. And like I said, the laws were on the side of Christopher that day. But because of the young man being the son of a sheriff's officer, they took the stance of protecting him and his family. And we saw that also in the Carmelo case. We've seen that in several cases here in the state of Texas, to where if their family member is part of law enforcement or somewhere in the judicial system or have some type of community ties, they will go against what the law states just to get a favorable outcome for that individual. And that's what we're dealing here with Christopher, is because they have chosen to try to make an example of him, of what their system they wanted to stay as, because he did nothing wrong. In the moment of that situation on that day, while he's been out on bond, he's done nothing wrong. He's done everything right. The system has done everything wrong. There's no accountability nowhere. Every public information request you put in, they send it straight to Ken Paxton. Matter of fact, the city actually hired an attorney when I put a public information request in. I've never seen that happen in my life, to where you put a public information request in, and then you get a letter from the city saying they've hired a law firm to be responsive to your request.
Wow. Sister Sissy, I want you to chime in, and then we have caller number one in queue. So after Sissy, she share, we're gonna take caller number one in queue. So Sissy, if you would chime in real quick.
So one thing I just wanted to brief the viewers on also is since then, like Mr. Nehai said, they know because there's a video, and fortunate enough that there is one. A lot of cases that there are not shows him retreating. Didn't have to, but he did. Don't touch me. Didn't have to, but that's what he said. And they aggressed upon him still. So he is in the right, and this is a stand your ground state. So since they don't have a case to move ahead, because there's not even been a trial date set, this happened July 16th. We're in February. No trial date.
Mm-hmm.
They revoked his bond. There's 7 days for them to reinstate that bond to get a hearing. That 7 days was Tuesday. We're on Friday. I believe he has a bond hearing Monday, correct, Mr. Nehai?
So I don't think he's going to have one Monday. I don't think it's going to. So there's some deliberate things going on as far as how they're handling this. And you're gonna have to give me to believe, and you're not gonna be able to give me to believe anything else other than that, because it's very obvious and blatant that they're trying to stall and hold them as long as they can.
Yeah, because we see how quick they moved
For
on.
sure.
We see how quick they've been moving. Because I know for a while, we had been looking for Christopher's information, and for a minute we couldn't even find it. We couldn't even find where he was even even booked or even charged with anything. It's just recently that it's starting to show up. So I really truly believe that these individuals know that they didn't have enough. And so they come with these different violations to try to build a case and to try to come up with some stuff to try to get time out of this baby. But I tell you, we are doing some things trying to really let people know that, we see you and we're not going to let you get away with what you're trying to do. And I want people to understand that, we as advocates, we don't look at color, because we just looking at justice. We looking at what's right, and the law is supposed to work, and it's supposed to work for everybody. It shouldn't work for one person and not work for the next, and it shouldn't work in favor of this person and not in favor of the next person. It's supposed to work for everybody. So we have caller number one in queue. And after caller number one, we're going to jump back in this conversation. So, caller number one, if you would please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Good evening, Angela and your guest. I'm calling in from Texas, and this is Genesis Amaris Camp, and I am listening to this story for the first time. It is resonating with me, and I do believe I heard Christopher's dad say that they're from the DFW area, Fort Worth, particular, right?
They're from the Midlothian, Lewis County. Um, Now, Dwayne is from Dallas Fort Worth. Mark, exactly where this took place? Where exactly is it located?
So Midlothian is about 30 minutes south of Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I haven't been there, but the county's what? Ellis County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm only familiar with like Tarrant County and etc. But your son's story really resonated with me, and I remember like going to school where I live. Like I'm in Texas, so like Houston area, I guess Houston, Cypress, Katy, all that. But anyway, um, and I remember like 20 plus years ago when I was in high school, a lot of times I was the only African American person in my class. And I remember I was a victim of being bullied. And, me and this girl got into this altercation. Fast forward, her mom had called the police to kind of report their side of the story. And then they hurried up and came down to my parents' house, banged on the door so loud, like they were about to kick in the door, and then proceeded to tell my dad that I had made a terroristic threat against their daughter. But they didn't even know the whole story. They didn't know that, that they started bullying me. My dad had already went to the school to report it. We have stuff on file or whatnot. They're calling my dad out to come out the house. They're questioning, blah, 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 blah. And then, so whenever my dad proceeded to present them with the paperwork and all of this stuff, they had no choice but to go back down to the people's house and say, well, actually, based on this, it looks like you all are the ones, that were, the aggressors or whatnot, and terroristic threat. But of course, their skin color spoke for them. And I was like, this is totally messed up. Like, I know it's totally different than what your son is going through, but that's just a piece of what I went through. And then I have a, friend of mine, a dear friend, who he's in his 40s. Something happened. He defended himself when he was 15 in the Fort Worth area. Then, out of self-defense, even though there was witnesses or whatnot, he ended up going to jail and prison, spent about 30 years there. And, every time he tried to get out, like, couldn't get out, finally made parole or whatnot. And then now, like, trying to find like a good credible job, it's very hard for him to find a credible job. But he does have like, federal clearance where he's worked at airports or so forth. But like all the other jobs that he wants, they're like, as soon as they see something in his background, it's like, oh no, automatic disqualifier. Even though he's done his time, in the system, he's worked at, federally clear places or whatnot, even though, yes, like, the person did die, but it was out of self defense and there was evidence and everything like that because he didn't have the money and there was other people backing the other side. I'm like, when is the justice system ever going to get right in Texas? And I'm leaving out parts of the story because I don't want to take over the platform, but it just goes to show that you see all these, cases and different stuff that happen and nothing really gets done. And another example would be the whole Sandra Bland in TV.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many cases in Texas, and they often get overlooked, or when the worst comes to the worst, they're like, oh, yeah, now there's justice. So where's the justice after you guys already, cause emotional harm or even fatality to that individual? They're not no longer going to see another day, or they've had trauma wounds and bonds or whatnot. So
Right.
I just commend you and your wife for just holding the justice system accountable and putting up the fight for your son Christopher, because it's not easy. And I can only imagine what you and your wife and your family are going through without even knowing the story. Just hearing bits and pieces of what's going on with your son, my heart goes out to y'all. As a young woman, as a mother, and so forth. It's so hard to swallow and just hear. How old is your son now?
So he's 18.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, still a baby. Still a baby.
Yeah.
And they a lot of people would say that because they want to give them adult charges that they did adult
Yeah.
crimes that they should be willing to. No, these are still babies. And like you say, bullying is something that we have really recognized that has been taking place, not just in Texas, but around the world. People want to police other people's kids and want to control other people's kids when you can't do that. When you should be able to go to a person of authority and let that person of authority know what's going on and allow them to address it the proper way. And that's not what's happening. And parents need to hold their kids accountable. If you're getting reports, if you're getting a lot of reports on these different kids and these different people that are doing different things, then you need to be looking at these kids, because you can guarantee if it's more than a few kids saying that the same group of kids are doing this, then you know that it has to be that group of kids. So we got to learn to be accountable. So, Sister Genesis, if you would please tell the listeners exactly who you are and how they can connect with you.
Sure. So I'm actually a host here on this network, and I run this segment called Gems, where I focus on topics that are inspirational, motivational, and etc. And I also like to weave in the DEI&B aspect: diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, because I truly believe that we're all in that intersection. And my next show will actually be on next Friday, the 13th. And I'm going to be talking about the blanket topic of awareness, because I feel like this is a time where we all need to be aware spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And now with the climate that we're living in, you cannot sleep on certain things. If you're not aware of it, it's time for you to be aware, just like I'm making myself aware of this story that I didn't know, because ignorance is no, you have to be keen and astute on what is taking place, because there's just so much that's going on and people are trying to sweep things underneath the rug, and it's time for us to really awaken in all areas, forms, and fashion.
Exactly, exactly. And I want to thank you for stopping by and sharing your insight and your perspective on tonight. Definitely, y'all want to tune in to her show. I tell you, she definitely drops gems. So I want you guys to come on and call in and join the conversation, share your perspectives, give us your input as we dive deeper into this case, bringing awareness to what is happening to Christopher Nehighs and holding the state of Texas, the county of Ellis, Midlothian, accountable for what has taken place and what is happening with Christopher right now. So y'all can call in at 605-562-0444. or 717-734-6904. You have to press that identification code, which is 546-1150 And to enter the studio, you have to enter in £1 to join the conversation star two. I know it's a lot, but it's well worth it. And if you just listen to the prompts, it will direct you on what to do. So again, I want you to call in, join the conversation, because without you, this would not even be possible. So, Mr. Mark, I know that we started to really dive in to his case. I actually called to the jail because I wanted to know if there has been a bond given. I was told that there was a $15,000 bond, but then there was no bond for the other two charges, and I was like, "Well, why?" I'm just thinking, if there was originally bonds given, why would they revoke two of them and not the other one, if he supposedly have done something? And if you know that there's records of something being done, why would you even revoke the bond? There was just a lot of stuff that I didn't understand. So I'm hoping that between you, Dwayne, and Sissy, y'all can give me some more insight onto why they would reinstate one and not all.
Well, you go in for a UA, and you don't check out. And if the caseworker's not there, you leave. And thank goodness that there was proof that he was indeed there. So that's not good enough for them because A, the indictment should have never happened just based on the video alone. Just based on that. So now let's go ahead and talk about civil rights on that. So now you have a bond that's been pulled. Christopher is now incarcerated. Mr. Nunez, I'm going to let you speak on this because, well, it's your son. When he was first incarcerated, after that bond was pulled, where was he placed?
He was taking place in the Ellis County jail.
What pod?
What pod? That I do not know.
Was it general population? What pod
Was he placed in juvenile or adult?
He's an adult, but yeah, he was placed in the general population area.
Okay. And was there any transferring? Was he placed in a special pod?
No, there was a transfer, but he was in one pod, and he called us, and we could tell that something was wrong. He said people were pointing at him and smiling. He was getting scared or whatever. So my wife had actually called up there to do a welfare check, and they ended up moving him to a different pod. And he did tell us that pod was just he felt more comfortable there.
Okay. And 7 days from that was Tuesday. That just passed. So civil rights, they have 7 days for his bond hearing. So they don't have anything to move forward in this case, and they really, really want him to talk. And they're holding in, and like you said, there's some other things that have taken place. What has transpired?
He's talking about what transpired since he's been detained.
Correct.
So since then, our lawyer, the attorney, so we originally had one attorney, and then we kind of started to see that it might be a good idea. And both our attorney, then we had the first one, she suggested as well too, that we needed to possibly get co-counsel, specifically somebody that works in Ellis County, has a little bit of rapport with the judges and prosecutors and whatnot. So after kind of searching around, we did find another one, and we did obtain him as well. But the attorney did file a motion for a bond reinstatement. Even then, the courts were giving her hard times with the motion she was trying to file and kept kicking it back for just petty reasons. And then, but eventually they did accept it. Now it's just she's trying to get a hearing, and they're dragging her through there. First they said they could get us in the ninth. Now we're not sure if they're getting us in the ninth. So they're not really like every once in a while. Like I said, it's hard not to believe that everything is deliberate because it definitely shows suggests that it's deliberate. Just with the way they're handling it, and it's quite obvious. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I don't think they have a kid. Yeah, I don't think they have a kid.
They don't. No, they don't. That's why they're pulling at straws.
So I have a question about the person that was supposedly attacked, but we know from the video that he was the aggressor. Is there any type of records on him? Have he been known to be a troublemaker or anything like that? Do we know anything about this person?
So I don't know. So I don't know personally. I don't know, if he has a reputation as a troublemaker and all that. But I have seen certain things that he's posted on social media, and different things that could definitely suggest or allude to that. I wouldn't say that he's a upstanding member of society based off what I've seen on his social media.
Wow.
I know if that were my son, I know that if the stuff that I've seen on his social media, if my son were to do it, I would have a big problem with that.
Wow. I'm sorry, Sister
I know,
Sister.
Angela.
I'm sorry, Wayne. Was you trying to say something?
Oh, okay. I know from this asking around. Hold on. I got a little background. And talking with you got background noise? Yeah. I know that just asking around to a few people, that young man has a reputation of being kind of arrogant. I think that has to do with his father being in law enforcement, having that confidence to do whatever, and daddy will come to the rescue. That's kind of the answers I got dealing with that young man. And then just looking at even that day when the incident happened, just the response of what people said he was doing, even after he had gotten cut or stabbed or whatever you want to call it at that point in time. It was more of an arrogant moment about him and a badge of honor, more so than this is the moment that just happened. And so I think that you're dealing with, again, the offspring of law enforcement being so arrogant and mindful that they know that nothing is going to happen to them because that's what's been happening for pretty much all their life. And the system is kind of showing that. And I know because I've called, I've also had visited up there in Ellis County and had some other people as well go and check into a few things. And it just seems that the prosecution, the court, the system itself, even investigators, they don't have anything. And so right now they're just pulling at straws and they're trying to build a case and scare Christopher into a moment to where it helps them on their side. And that's one thing that we're just not going to allow. I know his mother and father won't allow it. I don't know Christopher, but I listen to his parents, and I can guarantee you, just listening to them, that he ain't gonna allow it, and he's gonna stand strong and know that there will be an end to this at some point in time. And I just want the community to know that everybody that can hear us, if you can, Google Ellis County, Texas, and start contacting the court, asking to speak to the prosecutor's office, and asking them why they're holding him on something that violates the Constitution. Ask them why they're not, why it's not a court date, why they're holding him without a bond on something that he didn't replicate his own bond. He didn't do anything wrong. Ask those questions while you're prosecuting the victim in this case, and not going after the 10 or 12 that assaulted him that day. And once enough people start asking those questions, it forces the prosecution to stop playing the games. And it helps out the Neigheiser's attorney, help them get some footage and break through that mold of the system. And that's all that they're facing right now. They're facing the system trying to protect one of their own. And it happens all over this country, but it's been happening more so here in the state of Texas. And so we have to start stepping up and speaking up for those moments. But as far as I know, they told me that there was going to be a court date on Monday. But then when other people called in as well, it was kind of a iffy, wishy-washy moment. So I think they're scared to have the court hearing because if they do, there may be an opportunity for this case to be dismissed based on things that they have done and where they are and where they're not. And so I think they're scared of that. And so it's a moment to where we need to start putting pressure on them, on Ellis County, and to drop the case.
Exactly.
And I know time is limited. If I might just add something right quick, do help because you too can make a difference. If you go to my TikTok page, which is SISSY11251, in my bio, I do have a link to the Nienhuis's Gift and Go. So they have a lot of attorney fees and expenses to help out with this. And so you may not be a lawyer, you may not be an advocate, but this is a way that you can help. So you can make a difference if you wish to do so.
Again, that is Sissy 1152 on TikTok.
Sissy 11251.
251. I'm sorry. Or you can go to Give Send Go. Help Chris. I think that's what it say. What is it, Mr. Mark? What does it say?
It's giftstuff.com/justice, the number 4, and then Chris.
Yep. And there's also a search bar in GiveSendGo. If you just go to GiveSendGo.com and type in Christopher Nieheis, it'll pull you up. It'll take you right to it, and you'll see it's a family picture of us, family Christmas picture of us.
Yes, yes, yes. Definitely, he can use all of the support that he can get. If you are able to call in to that district attorney's office, call into that facility and ask some questions. There may be something that you want to know. Most of this stuff is public record. You have the right to know. All you have to do is be concerned. You can call in and voice your concern about what is happening to Christopher. Dive in, let them know, because what we want them to know is that there is people out here that is concerned about what is happening to Christopher, and we're not sitting down. That we are standing with him, and we will not let this. We will not let this go. So we just want people to know that we are here for Christopher. Mr. Mark, anything about this case that you would like to bring to our attention? Any handling of this case that really just took you by surprise?
So one thing that definitely took me by surprise is the whole bond being revoked and why it was revoked. Like I said, he went December 3rd, but he also went December 30th. We had an email conversation that we found in his phone when we went back to the house after he was taken in, with him and his caseworker. His caseworker telling him, you can either, I need you to come in the 29th or the 30th to stay in compliance. And he said, give me a call once you, give me a call either the 29th or the 30th with what time you're going to be here. So we have cell phone record of Chris on the 30th. He called over 9 times. No callback, no answer. So he just decided to go up there on his own. He was taken up there by 2 female friends of his and his brother. And he went in and saw his caseworker. So the fact that you guys are blatantly lying, as if nobody can, get any type of proof of this, because I'm sure you all have cameras, sign-in logs, and if y'all did do anything to alter any of that, that could definitely come out as well. So that whole thing right there just took me by surprise. But it also just kind of showed me. It also kind of set the tone for what we're facing and what we're dealing with. Because if you all are that bold to do that, ain't no telling what else you might do. Exactly. And then the fact that the judge really, even when we tried to show very little concern to anything we were saying, was very dismissive of what we were saying. That too, like you didn't want to question any of your pretrial supervision personnel or the prosecutor. You just go ahead with it, whatever y'all say. Um, so that as well. So that's definitely the things that have, really definitely taken me by surprise.
Um, well, I want y'all to go ahead and call in 605-562-0444, 717-734-6904, access code 546-1150 Make sure to press £1 to enter the studio and *2 to join the conversation. I know, Dwayne, you have been boots on the ground there in Texas. I wish I was there. Could definitely do more. But these cases have really touched my heart and just really made me want to, dive deeper and to learn more about it and to bring more awareness to this case. I'm grateful to Mr. Mark for allowing me to share his son's story in the magazine. And giving it the opportunity to get out there so people can really see what is happening. This is happening more than we can think. But when it hits close to home, it seemed like that's when we want to stand up. But no, we need to be standing up now. We need to be standing up before it hits your home, so that you can know what to do to try to help prevent this from happening to you. Because we're seeing over and over that they really don't care. It's just like they're out to get these black and brown men, and we're seeing it happen over and over again. And I continue to say this, and I tell people to stay woke, because what is happening is nothing mere of what we have been known as slavery. They just learned how to disguise it a little different. So they took the shackles off of your neck and your ankles, and they moved them to your waist and your hands. So I just want my people to wake up and really see what's going on, and not be quiet during these times, but to speak up and to speak out, because this could be your brother, this could be your nephew, this could even be your dad or your uncle that this is happening to. And they try to get them when they're young, when they're in their primes, so that they can get 20, 30 years out of them. Because if we look at what's happening within the state of Texas and a lot of these states around the U.S., this has become a $1 trillion industry. The prison system has become a $1 trillion industry. And if we look at the judicial makeup in these different states and the things that they allow and how these individuals get these positions, because if you look at a lot of these judges and a lot of these different people, if you look at the history of it's like it's a family thing. Like their granddaddy did it, their great grandpa did it. If you go in Texas and go inside those courthouses and look at those people that have been judges within those different places, and you look at the names and you look at what it is, and then it will make you think of really what is going on. So I just want people to be aware, and to be woke. And if you want to be a difference, know that you have the opportunity to be a difference. You can be a difference in so many different ways. And even if you don't want to get involved in this case, know that there are other cases out there. But this case here has really touched my heart, and we're going to do all we can do to bring light to it, and to really let the individuals that are involved in this case know that Christopher has people that love him, that is backing him, that is supporting him, and not gonna let this go. So, brother Dwayne, I want you to chime in. Is there anything about this case that you think that people really need to be aware of, and pay attention to?
Yes, I want people to really pay attention to the violation of Christopher's freedom of his right to just be. And I put it that way because I think sometimes when we say self-defense is not a crime, we say all these different things. We always take it to a fight, or we take it to defending yourself. But Christopher and his friends had a right to just be. And whatever opportunity or moment or space that was, if that was just them hanging out, riding in the car, playing basketball, whatever it was, they had a right to just be. And in that moment of them just being, they were challenged by other people that wanted to check whatever the moment was. They had a mutual combat moment. The friend got the best of them. They left. The people followed them. And so it's kind of a moment to where their right to just have peace and have freedom was constantly violated by people who just felt that they had the right to do so. And I think that's what we have to pay attention to is that our freedoms and our right to just defend ourselves or our right to just be in peace and make it back home the way we left is being challenged. And that's the overall moment that we're looking at. And when we dare to speak out on those moments, those freedoms are being challenged. And we see that just by the moment of Christopher now, his bond being revoked for nothing. All because people are daring to speak out, speak up, ask questions, and now they're trying to do whatever they can to protect the initial moment of bothering Christopher's peace. And I think that's what we need to pay attention to. And if we don't step up and start speaking for people like Christopher right now that needs us to speak out, show up, to activate ourselves into his life and help him out, then we're going to see that same thing multiply over and over and over, and it's going to balloon itself. And so we must do the small things, give to the gift and go, call and send emails if you're able to be in the DFW area where you can go down, go to Ellis County, go down to the local PD, talk to all those people and start demanding that they let this young man free because he was only doing what God gave him the right to do, and that's just be at peace. And someone disturbed that peace, and he had the audacity to want to get home and enjoy peace again. And they charged him for that. That's what this case boils down to. It's not even about the self-defense. It's just that he decided, and he had the audacity to defend himself and get home. And we're not even talking about the loss of life. We're just talking about he got the threat away from him. And that threat is upset, and his family is upset. And now that's why the tide is coming down on him. Because they're upset that one got away, and he's still at peace. And so we have to protect that.
Definitely, definitely. So, Mr. Mark, is there anything that if there's anything that you want people to know and to take away from your son's case, what would that one thing be?
I think the biggest thing would be that, we all hear about how the system is. We all see stuff on the news. Um, we all know about it. It's no secret. Um, but to those who haven't, I know there's plenty of people out there who have experiences, but to those who haven't, and especially when it's your child, and you see the dirty tactics, the evilness of it all, the fact that you can really just literally have your life taken away from you, regardless of what what you didn't do, is all just because somebody wants to make a name for themselves, or somebody wants to be the tough on crime person, or somebody wants to pad their resume with a certain number of convictions, all for selfish reasons, all for personal gain. When you truly see that, when you truly experience that, one, it's a terrifying thing, whether it's your child or whether it's yourself. Um, but two, you really see, just how real it really is. You know.
And I got bad feedback on the line there. Somebody needs to mute their line, or they're in the car. What's going on? Stop and go. It's bad feedback. We want this show to be right, so let's get that together.
I don't hear what you are hearing, so I'm not sure what it is.
I hear it.
If everybody can mute, if you're not speaking, if you can mute.
It's clear now. So go ahead, Angie. Control your.
Do you finish sharing?
Yes, ma'am. That was it.
Okay. Again, this family is dealing with a lot, and Christopher is not the only child. Christopher has how many other siblings?
He has 5 other
So this family has 6 kids that they have to be concerned about, and we know that this is a lot wearing on them, and to be worried about the faith of their son for him defending himself. When has self-defense been a crime? When has it become a crime for you to defend yourself? Because any one of them that were attacking him could have punched him anywhere and could have ended his life. So he had the right to defend himself. He had the right to defend himself. And we have to support this family and let them know that we are there. So if you can, please give to the Give Send Go. Again, you can go over to www.givesendgo.com/ Justice for Chris. You can make a donation. Understand that every dime that is donated will go to fund his defense case, because we want to make sure that this baby gets a chance to walk away from this. And we know that when you go through stuff like this, and I want Sissy to chime in on this because of her background. When you go through stuff like this, it wears on you, and it's stuff that this baby is gonna have to deal with for the rest of his life, for defending his own life. He's gonna have to deal with the trauma that is coming behind it. So, Sister Sissy, if you would please, I want you to talk on what are some of the effects that this baby may have to go through, the consequences of what happened on that day, and how this defense fund could help with his further treatment, the stuff that he's going to need.
Well, yeah, this is definitely written on his link, his siblings' link, his relatives, his mom and dad, all the way around. This has impacted not just Chris. Um, if you didn't think that this was a system already, this is a system. This is a system of suppression. So PTSD is very real. And moving forward, and I'm sure Mr. Nienhuis is aware, all T's must be crossed, all I's must be dotted, and then some. And if you need to carry paper and pen with you to have somebody sign you out, if that's what their thing is, because I've never heard anything on signing out after UA, that's just bizarre. That's just an excuse that's being used. Why? Because they don't have a case. There should have never been an indictment to begin with. And so this is just, moving forward. They have they have a bond that they've already paid, guys, viewers. There's a legal defense team, relocation, threat. The amount of trauma mentally and going anywhere at all is always going to be in the back of their mind. And I'm sure once this is all over with, um, being in the state of Texas may not be necessarily a good idea. And so there's relocation fees from that. There will be civil lawsuits, but until then, there is a legal defense team currently that they have. And there's bills that they have currently and expenses that they have currently. Please go to the Give Send Go, that's GIVESEND go.com / justice, the number 4, Chris. If you can't find it, even by the search, Go to TikTok. Just go to my front page. There is a link in my bio to their Gifts and Go. And my number, my page on TikTok is Sissy 11251. Afterwards, the amount of, even currently, therapy, you can't imagine. Because if you imagine, you would be centering yourself. The trauma thus far, and that will continue to occur. This is a lifetime thing. This has written on their slate. This has written on their slate. My thoughts go out with all of you guys. Mr. and Mrs. Dean Hampton, Chris, and the family. Viewers, please hear me when I say Indian health is very much appreciated. You can also send a prayer if you wanted to as well, if you aren't able to contribute. We will be continuing to follow this case. You can join us on TikTok on that. And we support this young man. We support this young man. And he will not be another person that they try to wrap in to injure. I learned nothing.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. He would not be another statistic. He would not be another one that get caught up in the system. Not as long as we are standing. So, Dwayne, if you would, I want you to share your thoughts as we begin to kind of wrap up this case. Share your thoughts.
I want to piggyback off of what Chrissy said, and just again implore everyone to if we don't stand for all of us, we're going to fail one of us. And I think that we have to keep that current on our mind, and that we have to do everything within our power through our prayers, through our funding, through our time and our effort and our energy, making a phone call, sending an email, and just help in any way we can, because we have to stand with this family. We have to stand with Christopher because he did not do anything wrong. That's the bottom line. He didn't. And even out on bond, he still yet didn't do anything wrong. And yet the system found its way around his neck. And so we have to stand with him to let the system know, to let the people that's in the system, upholding the system, know that we're not going to stand for it. Because who's yet to say that it won't visit your household next? And you want someone to stand with you as well. And so we have to send our prayers. We have to send our time and our effort and our energy and make sure that this doesn't happen to anyone else. And that in this situation that we get Christopher the help that he needs and we fight so he can come home. Because that's what the ultimate goal is to get him home. Get this case dismissed, get him home so he can get the counseling he needs, the help he needs so he can move on and start building his life. He was only 18, beginning his life, beginning to be a man and go out there and become what he's been desiring to become all his young life. And right now he's battling for his freedom. And so we can't lose sight of that. So we have to try to do everything within our power to stand there and be by his side and be by his family's side and support them and make sure that they have everything they need during this fight.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I want to thank you and Sissy for stopping by and being my special co-host. Y'all definitely have a lot of insight inside of that. I definitely want you guys to know that this case is featured inside of Aspiring Authors Magazine for the month of January. So if you want to grab you an issue, there's a 6-page spread inside that goes into goes deep into the case, that tells you a little bit about the case. At the time of the release of the magazine, we did not know about the revoking of his bond, so that is not in there. But we're definitely going to be following this case. We're going to definitely keep you updated from time to time. I'm definitely going to invite Mr. Mark to stop in and to share with us what is going on. Even if he can only jump on for a few minutes, I definitely want to keep the listeners abreast of what is going on within this case. If you are a supporter, a follower over on TikTok, if you use TikTok as a outlet, we definitely would like for you to join some of these panels, because we are definitely there are quite a few individuals that are hosting panels talking about this case, giving insight on this case, how you can support this case by contacting that DA in that county, and calling and doing wellness checks on Christopher, letting these people know that we care, we are here, and we are not going to allow you to bring any harm to this young man. And when this is all said and done, people are really going to see what is happening in the state of Texas, and how they need to begin to hold their leaders accountable, because those that you elect, those that you put in office, those that you put in place, they are the people that are supposed to be governing these things and making sure that these things are being upheld for all citizens, not just some citizens. And if these individuals are not going to do their job and are not going to do what they're supposed to be doing, then we're going to do something about it, and we're going to get them up out of there. If we got to put petitions in and all those things in place, that's what we're going to do. So, Mr. Mark, we're coming up on our final thoughts. I want you to share your final thoughts for tonight as we get ready to close out this show. What do you have to say to the people as your final thoughts tonight?
I just really want to touch on the type of kid my son Christopher is. Christopher is the kind of kid, that goes out of his way to help others. He has a good heart. Very business minded. He, takes hobbies and starts businesses with them. He wanted to join the military at some point. Just overall, good kid. Goes out of his way to compliment his mother, stuff like that. But what they're trying to paint my son out to be, and who they're trying to make him look like, that's not who he is. And then also just want to thank everybody that, that's contributed so far, that's prayers, kind words, advocating, it means a lot. It goes a long way. We have an uphill battle, ahead of us, in a very uncertain battle. At the end of the day, there's always that big uncertainty that, that everybody, all of us are facing. So, but once again, just thank you for everybody. Y'all, both of y'all, especially Dwayne and Anthony, appreciate it. Thank you very much just for, spreading the word, doing what y'all doing, advocating for my son. It means more than I can even really say. So just once again, thank you.
Amen. Amen. Well, I definitely want to thank everyone for joining us and chiming in on this conversation. If y'all would, I just want y'all to just take some time, Google the case, look it up, and if you're led, if you feel led to get involved, get involved. If it's being sending and donating to the Give, Send, Go, or coming on TikTok and debating this case and writing the district attorney, calling the district attorney, whatever roles that you can play in being a part of history, because these things are going to be things that our great grandchildren, our great great grandchildren are talking about concerning us. So if you would please do what you can. Again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Walking in Purpose with Angela. I definitely have enjoyed having Mr. Mark here talking about the case and bringing some light to Christopher's case. Y'all, it is now in Gozy time. It is now in Gozy time.
Story tonight. I believe it's going to be positive, uplifting. This young man's going to come home. He's going to be not only vindicated, but also exalted. He had the right to did the same thing. Difference is, it was with a gun. So, in the state of Texas, you have the right to stand. And the camera showed this young man was trying to say, hey, leave me alone. Similar to what happened to our brother Camilla Anthony. Okay? So they're trying to copycat and put our kids into bondage. And it is a shame before God Almighty. But again, God will stand for this young kid. He's going to come home and he's going to be able to tell a story to the rest of you. And it's funny because the young man said he has a right to be. We know in this country, other folks feel that we don't have a right to live, not only be. So, as parents, us out there in the elder community must be able to teach our kids well and teach them, futuristic goals. It's our job.
Boy.
And the parents of this young man have done that. But again, prayer changes things. But we must stay vigilant and we must stay active. And so to all the people out there, please keep this young man and his parents in prayer because your prayer, because the work is already done, but it's already good to pray. He's going to come home, but still pray for this young man because he has to have mental healing as he comes home. It's going to be PTSD for the rest of his life. Sounds like America to me. Come on, now we come back on this outstanding network with, of course, you need Parker and I get down on the grooves, y'all. And of course, tomorrow night is our anniversary at Podbean. Angie, come on and join us. You know how to join Podbean is easy. You're the queen of collaboration. Come on, be on with us for the first time. And tomorrow night we celebrate like we do it every year. I've played always comes back to the greatest soul singer of all time, and will be like tomorrow night on February 8th, 2025. And 1 year anniversary at www.podbean.com.
All right, all right, all right.
Before you do that, you gotta download the Apple Play Store. It's settled. You set up the username. It's free. And join us tomorrow. And anniversary. Like this will be coming tonight. 9:30 Eastern Daylight Time on the one and only station. And of course, Beverly Nation online where you're at the advertiser or 20 time more time. You can share it through Instagram and X photos. Put all the other information on your Facebook.
Yeah, I'm on the podcast.
You know that was fed to do some all the other language, don't support by university, just get Cody University. And Lonnie and Debbie's baby boy saying goodnight to all the folks out there in all unfortunate radio. That support us on a constant basis. And now for exceptional accolades. Broadcasting class of 2020 to 2023. And I want to know one of our communications host of the year. But in Excelsius Data, P 2023, International Internet Radio Hall of Fame Broadcasting and Training. Out of Texas, South Carolina, the one and only Angela Thomas.
Again, I want to thank everyone that has tuned in tonight to Walking in Purpose with Angela. We had an opportunity to chime in and to dive deeper into the Christopher D. High's case. If you can, please, I want you to go out and support this king. Help bring him home. Help get this case dismissed because it should not even have any charges. Again, I want to thank you guys. If you can, go give to the Give Send Go, write a letter to the DA, call, do a wellness check. Let this family know that you are behind them and that you support them. I will be back in 4 weeks, y'all. Right back here, same place, same time, in 4 weeks, right here on the WBNN Beverly Nation. Again, I want to thank you guys for being a part of Walking in Purpose with Angela. Y'all be blessed and know that we are the change that we desire to see in this world. If you want change, it starts and ends with you. Until next time, y'all be blessed.